David Taylor has a question for us about amortisation. I speculate every week, Kieran, about when we're going to run out of questions about amortisation. This one, actually, is the most simple of all, and is one that I probably should have asked you the first time you explained amortisation to me, because David Taylor simply said, does the cost of a player have to be spread equally over the length of his or her contract for FFP, or could it be split another way? We're so used to assuming, Kieran, that it is, if it's amortised over 4 years, then it's 4 equal payments. But does David have a point here?
He does have a point, because in 2016, Derby County decided to change their policy in relation to amortisation. And instead of, if you sign a player for £20 million on a 4-year contract, you say, well, 20 divided by 4, that's £5 million a year. And that's what 91 other clubs decided to do. And then Derby decided, in conjunction with their accountants, that what they were going to do instead was to value the player at the end of each year, in effect, and say, let's work out what's happened in terms of their market value. And if the market value's gone down, then we'll put that through as amortisation. And what that meant, of course, is that if he's a half-decent player, the value of the player doesn't go down. So therefore, you don't charge any amortisation. And then when it comes to the final year of the contract, with the player potentially leaving on a Bosman, you tended to pile all of the amortisation into the final year. And as a result of that, Derby's amortisation charge was £30 million lower than it would have been had they used the policy that was used by every other club. And I've argued this with Derby, and for a period of time I was public enemy number one in Derby, because, and Uncle Terry will never forgive me for this, I snitched.
Yeah,
I wrote to the EFL and said, look, you need to be aware of this. These are the consequences. And I'm a great believer. Yeah, whenever I teach any form of analysis work, or I say you focus on 2 sets of words: the because factors and the so what factors. Well, they've done this because it reduces amortisation. The so what, it allows them to spend £30 million more on wages in the Championship with a view to getting promoted, and it almost came off. Remember, Derby did get to the playoff finals, and if they had been, they would have been hailed. And then, of course, Mel Morris got bored and put the club into administration. As a result of that, I know that there was a change at the top at the EFL, and my initial letter, which had been sort of returned with "go away," we're not interested in accounting, which was sort of the traditional old school view of the EFL of these things. The new regime realised that there was financial consequences, and there were also FFP consequences, and they have changed the rules now at the EFL, which says that you can only do it on an equal basis. So that's where we are. My view was that was the rule that should have been applied in the first place, and that's where we are. So you have to apply it on an equal basis under EFL statute. It's actually part of the rules and regulations.
Oh, well, so initially then it was kind of spread equally just by custom and practice, and because that's a sensible thing to do. But now you actually have to do it that way. There's no option.
That's right. I mean, I would argue as an accounting nerd that you'd have to do it on an equal basis anyway, because I can look at, Rule 16, subsection 4 or something like that. But Derby, in conjunction with their accountants, had a different interpretation.
Yeah, so you sound less romantic when you start going on about Rule 16, subsection 4, Kieran. It's too close to the surface. It's just that it simmers under. You can't stop it bubbling over every now and again like a geyser in Iceland, which I believe is what Uncle Terry's doing at the moment, being a geyser in Iceland, isn't he?